meetings and so on. And certainly at some of the higher levels in the civil service, one piece of A4 covers minutes of 2-hour meeting, because only the resolutions are given there. And in the long term, that is probably the only record that is needed. But in the short or medium term, whether or not there's a code of transparency or not, we do need to respond to the public. We don't need to give chapter and verse, we don't need to give a verbatim, but I think it is only appropriate that we do indicate in the minutes who proposes or who opposes any given action, who are the movers and shakers for that particular action. We do, if somebody speaks for half an hour, we don't have to actually write that down. But short or medium term, it is important to know who has been involved. And maybe who has not been involved because they haven't ever spoken in council. You know, a negative is just as important as a positive on this. Minutes can be consistent with responding, Councillor A said this, or simply saying there was a main discussion, the main points were this point, brackets Councillor A, this point, brackets Councillor B, and similarly with any points that are against. If we do not publish minutes in this format, then the only way that 20,000 residents in this town get the information is via the press, which may or may not be. Yes, exactly. Often they are here, but they get the press's view, and I'm not saying that's good or bad, I'm simply saying they would get the press's view. They get the view of people who are here who talk, or the view of people who are here and put things online. And I think we deserve, ourselves, we should put our version out there in the minutes. They have to be formal, but I am very, very unhappy about cutting down the minutes to the apparent legality which is necessary. Not saying it's not necessary, but we should be giving more than that. When public participation comes along, that is not part of our formal minutes in that sense, but I do think that we ought to be publishing the names as a courtesy to the people who come and argue their specific points. But again, I think we are in difficulty, and certainly as far as accusations of lying are concerned, we cannot compound a libel, and we have to be very, very careful about the way that that is reported. I don't know the appropriate way that that can be done, but I'm aware that we cannot compound any libel that may or may not be happening. So, yes, I think the minutes have moved in the right direction. I think they could be tighter than they are, but I do think we ought to keep the names and so on within there as the accountability of our report of ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, that went on longer than I expected.